Hi, I'm Denise Anderson, and welcome to Creating Your Heaven on Earth. Welcome to the show. Today is my first episode, so I'm a little bit of everything. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I can't wait to see what unfolds with all of this, and also the impact that it may have for you. So, welcome to my first episode. I recognize that the topic is it's a rather large and interesting topic. I mean, creating a heaven on earth. What does that look like? How do we go about doing it? It just feels like a big accomplishment. But what I want to share with you is if you could take one thing from this episode today is to recognize that it's never a destination. It really is about the journey. And my hope for you is that journey can be really exciting for you. I'm not going to say it's not going to be scary. You're going to have some dark moments. Um, but if we can kind of get around the idea that it's an exciting thing to take on, that might change things for you. So one thing I wanted to share with you was I believe we are all familiar with the hero's journey, right? Most movies that you watch, books that you read, it's the character, the hero in the story has to go on a journey and they run into certain things along the way. One of my favorite ones is Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. I actually use that in my first book, Small Town Divorce. I use that analogy in my book. So, what I wanted to do with you today is kind of go through some of the steps that you're going to be going through during your hero's journey, which I believe is going to be very similar, if not exactly, what the road is going to look like as you are creating your heaven on earth. So we begin with you're in your ordinary world, you're in your day to day life, going about your own business. And then all of a sudden you get a call. There's a call to adventure. Now, the call you get might not look like the greatest adventure that you want to go on. It can be, there's a tragedy that's happened, an illness has struck, or perhaps an opportunity has been presented to you. So it's this, you're going through life, and then all of a sudden, ooh, what is this thing? I have this angst inside of me. There's a goal that I want to achieve. Um, the next thing that can come up is the refusal of the call. We rationalize why we wouldn't want to do that thing because it's just so comfortable staying in our ordinary world. That's our comfort zone. But the universe, spirit, just the way your life unfolds, you are always in continuously going to be called to action. So as I go through these steps, what I'd love for you to recognize is where are you currently on your hero's journey? Have you already in your life had a call to action? Is there something inside of you that you want to create? Do you have an idea? Is there an opportunity? Are you being faced with a big challenge in your life right now? So just listen and see where you might be in your own hero's journey. So we refuse the call. And then as life goes on, you're now at a point where you can no longer ignore the situation or the challenge that's in your life. So what can often come along is a mentor. Somebody comes along to give you guidance, wisdom, support. And that can look like several different people, people that you meet on the street. You're having coffee with somebody someday, one day, and they say just the right thing. Synchronicities start happening, and you're like, that has something to do with that goal I want to achieve or that opportunity that's knocking on my door. Which is exactly what happened for me with this podcast. I had reached out to a girlfriend. We hadn't spoken in probably over a year. And we were chatting, and I knew that she had her own podcast. And I was going through some things in my life, and she said, Hey, I really think you should reach out to my friend Christy. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? It sounds like she's someone that I would like to talk to. And I was reached out to her to talk about something else in my life. And it turns out she produces podcasts. And I've been thinking about doing a podcast for a very long time. So it's like, wow, how synchronistic that this woman would appear in my life right at the moment when I've been thinking for the past 2 weeks I would love to do a podcast. So, anyways, that's how it played out in my life. So maybe there's synchronicities or something that's already happening. Then the next step is crossing the threshold. The hero becomes serious about the call. So there you start finding out what you can endure. So in my own journey, that's exactly where I am right now. Here I am doing the podcast, and I get to find out all the things that I'm going to be able to endure. The deadlines that I have to meet, all the things that I put off in the past that would have allowed me to do this podcast, I'm now being confronted with. I need to do those things now in order for this podcast to go through. So that is exactly where I am right now in my journey. Then we get to meet some enemies, adversaries along the way. I'm guessing there will be people that maybe don't resonate with the podcast or might want to have some comments about what I'm saying or how I look or how I'm presenting myself. Again, this is not my first hero's journey. I believe we go through many hero's journeys during a lifetime. And so it's like what I'm recognizing is because of the journeys that I've been on before, the adversaries that I've had to face have actually been such a gift for me. I've already had to face negative comments or people not appreciating what I'm putting out into the world, people thinking that what I'm doing is really weird and having a lot to say about what I'm doing. So I've already faced that to a certain degree. And as I'm going along, I know there'll be more. So what I'm hoping this will also bring up for you is just an awareness. There's nothing that I can do or prepare for what's to come. I don't know what's coming my way, but having the awareness that something is going to be on the way so that when it appears, you are more psychologically and emotionally prepared for it. So knowing what these steps are not going to prevent you from having to go through the steps, but it will give you an awareness so you can recognize, that's the step I'm at right now. Okay, it's not going to feel comfortable. It's still going to be as difficult and can get really dark, but at least you have an awareness and your consciousness is raised for when that comes up in your life. So then there is the approach. Now here comes the biggest ordeal. It's like, I would like to call this step like the dark night of the soul, which I'm sure you can all relate to. You are literally down and out. I remember when I was going through some things, I remember physically laying down on the floor and I wasn't able to get up. It was like, I'm done. Like, I don't think I could take another step forward. I felt like the situation had got the best of me. The people around me had gotten the best of me, and I was just ready to throw in the towel. I was done. Dark night of the soul, which also goes into the crisis, and it feels like you're facing death. And here's the thing: you are. You are about to let the old part of you die, the part of you that is no longer needed for the next part of your journey has to die, right? We're letting go of the old way in which you used to think, or the way in you used to act, the way in you which you used to present yourself. Something about the hero has to die, and it can feel overwhelming and excruciating. And that's why I feel having a mentor or somebody there to support you along that journey is so valuable. I've certainly had mentors with me, with each hero's journey that I've been a part of. And then you get through the dark night of the soul, and there's a treasure. So there is a treasure on the other side of all the challenges that you're going to be faced with, right? So to me now, we're getting a little bit closer to that state of heaven. It's feeling more like, this is more of who I am. This is much closer to what I want to be creating or putting out in the world. Perhaps you're at a job right now or working in a career that just doesn't fulfill your soul. It's not as fulfilling as it once was. And and you know that you need to make a change. That's one example of a hero's journey and something that we may need to let go of. And then there's a result. There's just something that's been gained. It's like coming back with the elixir. There's been some wisdom gained by you because of what you went through. You went through this hardship, you went through this challenge, and you came out on the other side. You were not the same person. You know more, you've had more experience, you've gained great wisdom and insight into a subject matter or a particular way in which somebody else could go and obtain the same elixir that you have. And then what must we do? We must return back to our lives. It's like you come down off the mountain with your treasure, and here we are back in our ordinary life. And that's where the rubber really meets the road. What are you going to do with the elixir, the treasure, the golden nugget that you have obtained? And the question here is, how are you going to share that with the rest of the world, with whoever is going to benefit from what you've experienced? And then you enter into your new life. It's you're no longer the same person. You have embodied this experience. You've gained this wisdom, and it's kind of a lot of times I woke up and thought, oh my God, I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. It's the same world, but it's not. There's really nothing about it that is the same. Everything shifts. So you're going to be going through a hero's journey consistently in your life. I'm on one right now. We've never really not been on the hero's journey, but I'd love for you to look back and go, where am I? Where am I on that hero's journey? Now, a quote that I would like to leave you with is, let's see. What is the quote? Here it is. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. And that's by Joseph Campbell. I'm going to say that again. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. So my question to you is, what cave are you fearing to enter right now in your life? What is the cave you fear to enter? So I'm just going to summarize the hero's journey. Our journey towards creating heaven on earth is listen for a call to adventure. Perhaps you've already had one or there's one coming. 2, accept the challenge, right? You recognize it for what it is, accept the challenge. We're going to conquer your fear. And then the ultimate is claim the treasure that you seek. So folks, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for tuning in to Creating Your Heaven on Earth. I'm your host, Denise Anderson. And to get your free consultation with me, you can go to createyourheavenonearth.com.